This episode is brought to you by Bellator's Publishing, bringing stories to the world that last forever.
Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
If I as a Sage or a Maven, the Grey Hall could be like Phil or these ones, and he won't be able to tell neither Violet. Is it maybe because the Sage or the Maven, maybe they can hide their appearance and look just like completely human?
He's still kicking Jesinia out, possibly because Jesinia has access to all these Venin books, and she will realise he's a Venin.
But then, here, that signet that she's doing against this Venin, it works.
Yeah.
But then why, when Bodhi was trying to do
Doesn't
it
work.
against Stephanie, it doesn't? So
Different type of power. I don't know.
hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy.
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we're covering chapter 12 to 14. We'll also be using adult language, so listener description advice.
This episode will contain spoilers from all three books, as well as the snippets of information we've had from Rebecca Yarros since the release of the third book.
Also, we want to take the opportunity to remind you that if you love our content and want even more, check out our subscription plan. You get exclusive monthly content, early access to episodes, and completely ad-free experience. You can subscribe directly on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. But for the best value, visit faithfullyfantasy.com to find the perfect plan for you.
We've also got some exciting news for you this week. The Faithfully Fantasy Shop, FFS for short, is officially open. You can now grab exclusive merchandise inspired by the podcast, including the exact designs that JC wears while we record. And here's the best part. If you are listening to this episode the same week it was released, you can enjoy 25% off everything. But don't worry if you missed this offer. Whenever we get the chance, we'll be dropping more discounts. So make sure to follow us on social media to stay updated on the latest deals. Every purchase directly supports the podcast, helping us improve the show and bring you even better quality. So check out the shop, grab your favourite merchandise, and represent Faithfully Fantasy in style. Visit our shop at www.faithfullyfantasy.com and start shopping today.
And without further ado, let's get into the squad brief.
The squad brief. So we start with Violet and Xaden kissing like it's their last day on Earth, just to end a few minutes later arguing like an old married couple, in the words of Riddick. Xaden confesses to going full Teddy Swims when Garrick told him about what she was doing in Samara. I lose control. Oh, I'll stop now. When you're not next to me. I said I'd stop and I carried on.
Yeah.
We say a big fat I told you it wasn't an editing error about Liam and his mysterious ice wielding, as we confirm that some of the marked ones have been chosen by the dragons, previously bonded to direct relatives. Some of the dragons are building their own army of doubly powerful riders. We visit our favourite orange-fearing villain and find out some serious Venin tea. Jesinia tells us there's more information missing than we thought, but we know where to find it. Can we get 3 cheers for Daddy Saw a Girl's research? Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Hip hip!
Hooray!
Back to battle brief. And because one title isn't enough, Professor Duke Xaden Ryerson re-enters the chat. Professor Ryerson fails to persuade I'm Not a Daddy Anymore Atos to give their relationship an exemption, but he does manage to convince Mr. Incompetent himself, Professor Grady, to you and me, to take him on his crackpot mission. But will they head north or to the Isles?
Wow, that's a lot that we need to talk about and more details.
We have got so much to cover today, and some really juicy information, some answers that we have been wanting since Iron Flame.
Yes.
Well, actually, in the case of the second signets and Liam, confirmation that we've wanted since the end of Fourth Wing.
Yes, something that we've been talking since then, and a lot of people saying, "No, it was confirmed. There was a editor error."
Nah.
Where?
Nah, that type of editing error does not get past Miss Yaris.
Yes.
Mrs. Yaris.
Okay, now let's start with the history class and start with the deep dive.
Yeah. So, chapter 12,
Epigraph.
You might be angry when you realise I didn't wake you up to say goodbye, but it's only because I no longer fully trust my ability to walk away. Recovered correspondence from His Grace Lieutenant Xaden Ryerson, 16th Duke of Tyrrendor, to Cadet Violet Sorrengail. So I just wonder when this happened. Did this happen just before he left for Samara in this set of chapters? Or are we talking about like later in the book? Because I no longer fully trust my ability to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
But he does walk away at the end. Or does he? Is it Xaden hiding in the shadows at the end? I mean, we'll get to that bit, but I think he does walk away. I think.
And the way that I understand this, every essay give you like a little bit of heads up what is going to be the chapter about. So obviously here we start with Xaden and Violet together, but he has to leave later on.
He has to go to Sweaty Pillow.
Yes, so I think this is the note that he leaves before he goes to the Samara. That's where he's going.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It's overthinking that.
But you never know. Sometimes you get like really good theories or things that's just in the
from
details.
Thinking differently.
Yes, exactly. So we start the chapter with Xaden and Violet kissing. Xaden was really concerned about her because, as we were talking in the previous episode, it was Gary, the one who told him that Violet was going to this rescue mission. Sgaeyl didn't even say anything to him.
They're still not talking.
No.
How awkward is that?
I don't know what's going on because obviously Tairn is involved. What happened when Tairn was knocked out? Sgaeyl is not worried at all. He wasn't like, shit, I need to go there because I can't feel him. Violet was next to him and he couldn't feel the bond. Sgaeyl wasn't Basgayat, I mean.
She's too far away though. They don't feel the bond when they're that far away.
I think they could feel like something, like at least not thoughts or communication, but like emotions, or like can still feel something. They're still connected.
I do vaguely remember something about that.
Yeah. So I remember there was a couple of times they still feel each other.
Yeah.
But Violet, he couldn't feel Tairn, and he was right there next to her.
Yeah.
So Sgaeyl actually didn't bother to like,
maybe she was freaking out.
Yeah, but she didn't do anything. Tairn, it will go straight away for her. Like when that time when Xaden was hurt in Samara as well, Tairn and Violet, they were straight away flying there.
Yeah.
Crab was the one who said they weren't for this mission. And minutes after that, she must feel that something is off because she shouldn't feel Tairn. So it's weird.
Yeah. It must just be so awkward when they're flying and she's not talking to them. Like, how do they... That's so unsafe in battle, isn't it? They're not communicating.
Yeah. Like when they're flying, it's like...
And he's not got a saddle. Surely she's like, I'm going to hard bank left to like flip him off.
Yeah. Shadows, maybe. Saddle made of shadows.
Like straps himself to the... Yeah, I would do that.
Yes.
I'll add that to the list of things that Xaden's signet can do.
A saddle.
Yeah. We are making a mental list, aren't we, of this? We must be on about at least 18 things now that his shadows can do.
Yes. But yes, Xaden says to her that he was terrified. But Violet's trying to say to him, but I was fine. I did a right call. Everything was fine in the end. So Xaden was like, yeah, I know that. So he is already like with a lot of emotions here. And Violet says shadows not only jumps, they flip. So,
they flee, yeah.
Yes. And she said, well, that's new. So that's something that I was thinking about. Not only Xaden's power are like intensify, it's like maybe the emotions as well, because he feels that he's not in control.
Yeah. Because the thing this made me think of immediately was, are the shadows gonna leave him? Like, are they moving? Can only one person control the shadows? But then later we know that Lynx gets the shadow wielding ability, and that possibly means there's a balance. But why do they... it's like they're scared, but I think that's what I thought. But I think you're right that it's like a loss of control.
Yes, so from my point of view, his emotions is taking hard on him. He used to be like the master of control, but now he's losing. He can control his emotions. When he's not controlling his emotions, he can control his signet as well. That what normally used to be like shadows, like trying to like jump or go away. In this case, they flee. But the thing that is weird for me, Theophany says that Venin don't feel anything. They have no emotions. But here we can see clearly that Xaden is having like a kind of like a panic attack when he found out about Violet.
There's so many points in this chapter that I have the same comments on. He feels something. He's still clearly in love with her. I don't know, when we get down to what Jack says, there is a bit of a hint that it doesn't all go away at once. And obviously we've got to remember that Xaden is still an initiate. So I don't necessarily think it means that he won't go deeper and he won't lose it. But I do think there's something different about Xaden. I really think there's something different. I think either the scars or perhaps a connection to one of the gods like Loyal. I don't know. There's something different about Xaden. And perhaps it simply is that he turned for love, and he really did turn for love. And there's a different faction of Venin that did that. And I do want to ask the question a bit later whether we think there's any more like Xaden, or whether when he channels again at the end of the book and when we go into book 4, will he be so far gone that he does not feel that anymore?
I still think there's something different with Xaden as a Venin, because some of the stuff that we know about the regular Venin is like not applying to him. So something that comes to my mind is because we have so many references about Xaden's eye, those golden flakes that Violet's always talking about. And I was thinking, is it maybe possible that somehow he's maybe dedicated to maybe, I don't know, the god of love? And that's the explanation about these golden flicks in their eyes, because when a person is like dedicated, there's something changed in the appearance. So in Violet, for Dune, was the hair.
Yeah, but that would mean that Xaden's mum was also dedicated, because we get confirmation that his mum has the same eyes as Xaden. So it feels like it's genetic. It doesn't feel like it's a dedication, unless they both did. But I get where you're coming from. It's a like strange appearance, again to do with the eyes, and we know, like we talked about last week, the link to iridology and the changing colours of eyes. But yeah, I feel like Xaden's eyes are genetic.
So Xaden is talking with Violet, and he even recognized that yes, she did the right thing. He's proud of her. But at the same time, he said there's something broken on him between his mind and heart. And he's even pointing. So it's something that he can control.
Poor little itty bitty shadow daddy. Yeah, so this again comes down to the fact that he was like, he's clearly feeling something. He says, I would have channeled every ounce of power beneath my feet without hesitation if it would have landed me at your side. And this is what I want to know. How many other Venin would feel like this? We know Jack doesn't. And Jack was also an initiate. Is he an Asim now? He's got to be, hasn't he?
Their eyes are like permanent red now.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Yes.
He's not a sage. No.
No.
How Venin is Jack? He's an Asim.
An Asim, yeah.
So we know that Jack didn't feel that when he was an initiate, right? Are there any that you know of? Because if we think about Berwin, we don't know a great deal about him, but we know that he is trying to get Xaden. And we know that he had Jack. He found Jack. But is there anything around Berwin that makes you think that he might have turned for love?
He has a son, but I don't know when they say a son if it's like flesh and bone, or it's just linked.
Well, he has a son, doesn't he? If we don't have confirmation of this. This is me thinking that Xaden's granddad. But in real life, if he had a son, it would have been Fen.
Yeah.
And then Fen's son would be his granddad. Or it could be Xaden's mom's dad. But the fact that she's from so far away doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bowen could have been one. Darramore, we know we went back to that. We had a suspicion that General Darramore, the original one, turned for love. Theophany, she doesn't really give me the impression that she turned for love.
No, she did it directly because she was under her power. She wanted to be a god. She didn't want to serve a god. She wanted to be one. So they're still talking, and obviously there's a big issue at the moment for them. They say that is not having control. They want to be together, but obviously Xaden don't trust himself.
Can't have sexy time with a Venin.
No.
It's too dangerous.
So Violet's saying, well, that's okay. I'm happy with just what we have. So, again, just ignoring like the red flags and everything.
She's so oblivious to red flags.
Yeah, she's like, nah.
Unless they're on the map in Battle Brief, she doesn't care about them.
But yeah, she's like, no, I'm fine with the kisses, and that's good. And Xaden like, come on. So he says something like, I know your body as well as mine, so I can see it in your lips, I can see it in your eyes. And then he said that he can see the eyes are leaning more toward green than blue. And I was just wondering, we had another reference about Violet's eye changing color again. And Xaden is saying like, yeah, because it's more blue than green, then mean that she is
horny.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know how to take it. It's just like a mood thing, because I used to think that
like
it was
rings.
undone. Yeah, I thought maybe it could be something between the bond with Andarna, because I think before she born Andarna, there was never reference about Violet's eye changing color. I think it started to notice it's after threshing.
I do think it has something to do with Andarna because of the Irids. I just keep coming back to the I know exactly who and what you are, Violet Sorrengail. Is it to do with the eyes changing colour? I'm going to say it again. Does she have some kind of blood link or some kind of birthright link to Irids? Can I say it again? We've said that for a while now, haven't we? It wasn't our original theory. But there's got to be something more than a bond with Andarna.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too much. It's too much of a coincidence that her eyes change colour. It's called Irids, iridology. Too much.
Something that we know for sure, that's a fact, that when she was little, Daddy Sorrengail took her out of the continent. So I don't know exactly what was the plan. If maybe because she wasn't maybe completely healthy when she was a baby, he was trying to find a cure for her or dedicated to a god for something. We don't know if he knew something about her, like in the future there was a prophecy or something about her, and something that he need to do to the prophecy to carry on. So he was outside, and it seems that outside people knew about the Irids. So just inside the walls, there nobody knows anything about it. All the 600 years history has been edited, but outside, no, there's nothing weird about Irids.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe in that journey they found something related.
Yeah, there's a prophecy. There's got to be a prophecy. The way that Jesinia's like, oh yeah, I found in these books, I found a prophecy, Riddick, and it's all
about the rider that's a scribe.
The rider that should be a scribe. If that does not come back, and this is going to be another moment where I commit to doing something. But I mean, there's got to be a prophecy. You can't tell me Jesinia's 100% messing around there saying, oh yeah, I found a prophecy.
Yeah.
there's a prophecy. She just hasn't found it yet. It could be in those pages that have been torn out. It could be somewhere else. But Daddy Sorrengail found a prophecy, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he knew he had to get Violet in this place. However, the one thing that I don't think he didn't know that she was gonna end up falling in love with Xaden, because we find out later that he expected her to fall in love with Day. And I don't think he knew that she was going to be a rider. I think that was Mummy Sorrengail's intervention. But yeah, there's a prophecy.
Okay, so we're going back to Xaden talking with Violet. So he's talking about a little bit yes, he's one of the most powerful riders in the continent, and also he's one of the most dangerous outside of the wars. So Violet says, like, ignoring that he would be most dangerous rider, he say, oh yeah, talking about the most powerful, Garrick, he's a distant wielder, listen to him. So here, I just want to point it out that yes, so they were talking about powerful riders, and Violet said, like, talking about powerful Garrick. So for me, this is just like another reference that Garrick Signet, distant wielder, is going to be one of the 6 more powerful riders.
100%. There's not been one for centuries, although I still am bugged at Xaden for completely lying about this. He's like, are you pissed that I didn't tell you? He didn't just not tell her. He lied.
Yeah.
But anyway.
That's something that I still like not getting, because if he says, no, I'm not a distant wielder, he's still protecting Gary, and he's not lying to Violet. What was the need to say there having been a distant wielder for centuries?
Yeah, I know.
That was a complete lie, and it was like not necessary.
Yeah, and I always try and solve the things from inside the story before I say, oh, it's just Rebecca Yarros. But I do think she wanted to plant the seed of how rare the distance wielder was at that point.
Yes.
But she should have had Violet say it, if that's the case, because it would have been like, a distance wielder, oh no, there hasn't been one of those in centuries. That would be obvious.
Yeah.
So then it would just be a bit less like, and then he says he's never lied to her, but he has, and he lied then when he said he hasn't lied to her. So yeah, there's loads. But yeah, I completely agree that distance wielding is one of the 6. So should we just do a quick like stock take of where we are? Shadows.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Lightning.
Yes. Distant wielder.
Distance.
Earth wielder or rock wielder.
Earth wielder. I am thinking at the moment Rhi.
Yes, because when she manifested the first time,
definitely said that
she
was
said
like
it's not been one in years or
centuries. I think
centuries. Yeah.
But I don't know if it feels spectacular enough. That's the one.
There's no another one like her.
No, I know. Yeah, but it doesn't seem that spectacular, does it? And then surely Auric.
Yes, I agree as well.
Surely Auric. 3 women, 3 men. Yeah. That feels right as well.
Balance. Magic like balance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Gender balance. Equality.
Rebecca like balance and everything. Xaden tell her that yes, he has 2 signets because his dragon chose him precisely because all the dragons from the Mark ones, they were planning this. They was part from the dragons, not from the Mark ones. So this is something that caught my attention because obviously the dragons are lying to leadership, because the only way that this happened is because the dragon gave a fake name when they.
Well, that's what Rebecca Yarros has said in an interview.
Yes. So doesn't mean that does the Imperial know about this? And if they know, they just agree with just basically laughing at the loves of the humans.
I had the same question, because it all comes down to why those dragons are building their own army, because that's what Xaden says.
Yeah.
They're building their own army. So let's think about the reasons why they might build their own army. 1, to fight the Venin. They know they've got no chance, so they need to strengthen it. They can see that several of the dragons are not bonding, and this is the same in the same sentence we have confirmation, or the same paragraph, don't we?
Mm-hmm.
further confirmation that fewer and fewer dragons are bonding. So perhaps that is a counter to those dragons who refuse to bond. And they're building... those dragons are seeking out direct relatives of previous bonded riders to counteract that. There is a bit of a question about, will any of them go mad, or was that an urban myth? Because it was they either go mad or they develop a second signet.
Yeah.
Bodhi says he hasn't got one, so is he the one that's going mad?
Well, we had no confirmation that his dragon was bonded to a relative. Could be just a brand new dragon.
Could be. Yeah, you're right. It could be. I didn't think of that. I'm just desperate to prove
that he's mad.
That Bodhi's something going on with Bodhi. But yeah, I feel like that's one option. It's that they're doing it to fight the Venin, which is the obvious one. Are they doing it because they want to fight Navarre and the Empyrean? So you've got Melgren and Coda. That could be one reason. But if so, why don't the Empyrean know that they're lying about their names? You'd think that they would know that, right? Hang on a minute, you're just going by a different name all of a sudden. That's weird.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So obviously the Imperium must know, and they're fine with that, or they just allow it and just keep looking to other side, because obviously this change in the role the leadership is doing, and dragons is just not giving any importance to this. It's we'll make you believe that you have control, but you are just the thing that we need for the sickness, and that's it.
I wonder if that maybe a part of it as well is that dragons, because we know that dragons are now we know that dragons are taking magic from the ground. Perhaps they feel it running out and they need they're seeking double the power through somebody that can give them 2 signets, 2 channels. I wonder if there's something to do with that as well. There's also some confusion in the wild about the second signet thing. I've seen several people talk about second signets being as a result of the relic, and I think that's because Violet says, how often did second signets accompany the relics? And Xaden's it's not to do with the relic, it's to do with the dragon. I guess the relic made them stand out as the people, so it was perhaps easier for a dragon in threshing to find a marked one, because they know that the marked ones are direct descendants of their previous riders. So you would be in a group of 100 cadets, you would be drawn, the ones with relics would be obvious, wouldn't they? So they might be able to see them quicker and then be
well, it's not only that, because if the dragon was bonded to your father, obviously they be in the mind, they know the children, so they know by name, they know how they look, they know everything.
Oh yeah.
So they obviously I don't know,
Sloane and
or
Liam.
Garrick, where the dragon was well, I was with his father, I know his son is Garrick, and he is now a cadet, so I'm going to find them before anyone else.
Do you think Day was Liam's mum's dragon? Or do you think Sloane's dragon is Liam's mum's dragon?
Has to be Liam, because he has 2 signets for sign and...
Could have been a grandma or a granddad.
Yeah, I guess.
But Sloane knew about it because her dragon told her about it. Mm-hmm. So I think Sloane has 2 signets too.
Yeah.
So I think both of them were. And we know that his dad wasn't a rider. So
in this part, Xaden noticed as well that Gary was hiding something from him. So he says to Violet, why it's Gary hiding, because he never had been able to lie to me. But I was wondering, is it just because he knows so well that he knows when he's lying or when he's hiding something? or he just is still using his signet to even the closest people that he has to see if they're being honest with him.
He would know, wouldn't he? If he was reading Garrick's intentions, he would know that Garrick intends to lie to him, intends to withhold something. He wouldn't be able to see what it was.
Yeah.
Although we are starting to suspect, aren't we, that Xaden's intrinsic power is growing and he is starting to hear what people are thinking. Because there's sometimes throughout this book that he does that with Violet. But I do feel like you can't lie to your best friend, can you? If you really are best friends, they know that you're lying. I think it's a bit of both for this bit. I think he probably does read his intentions, but I would also expect someone like Garrick to have his shields down around Xaden, not because he knows he's got a second signet and it's intrinsic, but because Xaden's Venin.
Yeah, and obviously they're in Sgaeyl, they never know who could turn into intrinsic or something and get some information directly from the mind.
Yeah, you'd probably have your shields down a lot, especially if you're a marked one. But I do think, regardless of whether Xaden had the power of to be intrinsic, Garrick, he would know. It's his best friend, and they're like proper best friends as well. They've been together since they were very young, and he's basically Xaden's Dane, isn't he?
Yeah.
So you can't lie to your best friend. Not convincingly anyway. You can try.
Yeah.
My question is, why withhold such critical information? 1, Xaden is Venin, so this could reassure his best friend that he is going to keep his power. Because he might be like, oh, hang on a minute, is my power going to go? Because this is all about the fact that Venin still have signets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why is Garrick withholding that information from him in the first place? 1, you get to keep your signet. That's quite useful information. 2, let's be prepared. Let's prepare everyone. We saw that Venin have signets. The only thing I can think of is that he is so scared that Xaden is going to flip out and lose control because he'll be worried about Violet. Because the specific secret he's withholding is, at this moment in time, they believe that Theophany has so the only thing probably that keeps Xaden relatively okay, he's not okay, but he better than he would be otherwise, is that he knows Violet is the most powerful rider, possibly except for him, but yeah, he trusts her. If he finds out there's a Venin out there that is perfectly matched to her, he's going to lose his shit, isn't he? So that'll be what Garrick is doing. But why didn't he say the Venin have signets? He didn't have to say what it was. He didn't have to say that Violet is possibly matched, because that's such critical tactical information in a war to withhold from him.
Yeah, I honestly think that Gary just did it is because he didn't want Xaden to get even more nervous, because I can imagine how he was for Gary has to go to find Violet to make sure that she was fine. The thing that is a little bit hard for me to believe is that Xaden himself don't force Gary to take him with him. Like, take me with you because I need to know that Violet is okay. But I'm guessing that Gary will be like, no, you know yourself. You need to stay here. If you want me to go, you stay here and I'll go.
Yeah.
And I make sure that she's fine, but you stay here with Bodhi.
Yeah.
And then he goes.
And Bodhi's seeing him struggle.
Yes, and this is how we link this Bodhi, the brother.
Bodhi's the brother, 100%. The other thing I really, really want to say about this is he says, I will use Tyrandor to protect you, not you to protect Tyrandor. I think that's why he marries her at the end. He's trying to protect her. She has now got that. If she is the Duchess of Tyrandor, we don't know if she is, because we don't know if Bodhi's there. And Pam sent me a voice note the other day, one of our listeners. She read it the first time and she assumed that Violet had married Bodhi and Xaden had made her marry Bodhi. Because it blew my mind. I was like, oh my God. And then she was like, no, I realised I made a mistake. And I was like, but did you though? And I'm like, that blew my mind listening to that. That actually, possibly there was some kind of protection thing going on there. I don't actually like taking a deep breath and thinking about it normally. I don't think Xaden would have been able to bring himself to allow that to happen because of how much he loves Violet. But anyway, back to the. Sorry, I got derailed. But back to the. I would use Tyrrendor to protect you. I think that's what he's doing. If he's made her the Duchess of Tyrrendor, she now has the southern wing of the army under her command. She has all of the Eurasian riot. She has Llewellyn and Lindell and basically the force of Tyrrendor to protect her. And that line, I will use Tyrrendor to protect you, not you to protect Tyrrendor, feels like a real massive bit of foreshadowing for the end of the book and for book 4.
So it's in this part when Violet told her the thing that Gary didn't tell him was the Theophany. She's a lightning wielder as well. She is even better than Violet. So Xaden was really surprised about this. Obviously for him it's like first new as well. The Venin had signet. And for me it's like, how is possible in more than 600 years there not been just one Venin or somebody that has been against a Venin signet wielding? Like,
yeah.
How?
So my thinking about this is that perhaps 2 things, 2 ideas. One, they knew it. They just like they knew that Venin. They just didn't write it down. They redacted it all. Markham would totally do that. Why? In whose interest is it to write that down? Because you're basically redacting everything. That makes sense for Navarre. That makes sense for the riders and the scribes. It does not make sense for poor Emil. It doesn't make sense for the flyers because they're trying to learn absolutely everything they can. They're fighting against these Venin day in, day out. It's odd to me that the flyers don't know about it. I can get it when it's relating to riders. The only thing that I can think of, and again, this maybe only works for riders, and I've not fully thought it through for flyers, but if magic likes a balance, and you've got Theophany, you've got Lilith. Lilith is busting a gut to keep Theophany back. And possibly there's the thing that they're fighting so hard against it in the background that nobody is noticing. Lilith knew. Lilith definitely knew. Theophany says that Lilith knew she was no match for her since she was 22. So there's been a bit of a breakdown of information, and I agree with you. In more than 600 years, you would have expected somebody to know that. The only thing I can think of is the information being lost. And we know that poor Emil haven't been fighting them for like the whole time, have they? Because they've just all of a sudden grown in strength.
Yeah, but it's not only that, because if you remember at the end of Iron Flame, when Xaden was fighting against Berwin was using fire, like to make like a weapon or something. So I thought at that time that he was like a fire wielder, and he was a good one because he was creating something with fire. So he's a general, so obviously he had better control with the wielding. So for me, he was like, wow, he has to be a fire wielder. So for me, it was like, yeah, he's a fire wielder. But then when Tiffany came as a lightning wielder, I was like, oh my God, Venin has signet as well. Well, yeah, I saw that with Berwin, so why was that then?
Yeah, so does Berwin have 2 signets then? Because he's definitely a Dreamwalker.
Yes. So when we found out that, yes, that Tiffany here at this point, she's a lightning wielder, and for me, we're like, okay, so maybe it was something different that he was doing then, like a Venin magic.
Lesser magic, yeah.
Yeah, for Venin. I think it was like a sword that he built with fire and was fighting Xaden with this.
Oh, it was daggers, wasn't it? Like fire
daggers.
Something. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. If anybody knows why this was not known more widely, especially for the flyers, that's the bit that I can't get. Yeah, why was it not in Drake's compendium?
They're catching Venin all the time, and They're always like in touch with them, so how is it possible?
Mira can find out, can't she? She can be like, how the fuck did you not know that? It's missing from your little compendium, Drake. As they're like sat by the fire with broccoli. They're my new favourite couple. I know they're not a couple
and
yet.
they're not even a couple yet.
I know, but they will be. Come on, we saw that coming from Iron Flame, didn't we?
Yeah. It's here when Violet noticed that there's every time less riders because obviously there's less dragons bonded, and she's wondering, I wonder how many dragons have been like not willing to bond in the last century. So when she said that, like century, why? Why has to be like
because
century?
Sgaeyl was built, wasn't it? A century ago. Oh, no, however, it was a few centuries ago. But they built a lot of rooms for the riders to stay in. Mm-hmm. And then she was like, even with the extra flyers, and even when Signet comes, there'll still be space for all those people. So they built a lot more bedrooms than they need today. So that was the link. But the question is, why? Why have they stopped bonding?
Yes, we still don't know. We're still thinking there's a complete different fashions of dragons, at least maybe like 3.
Can they no longer channel magic, those ones?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Running out of magic into dragon, they're just useless.
Yeah.
They can channel.
Because they're draining the ground. Ha!
That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Because maybe dragons, they take it from deeper from the ground, that you don't see the surface.
It's the discoloration. We don't see that, do we?
No.
And you do see that within the wards, because Jack Barlow's cell is all drained of colour. So it's not a wards thing, is it? It's a dragon thing.
Yeah.
It's not visible. Or has magic realised that there's a skew and the dragons are all powerful, and so it's making it, there's some restriction that's happening to keep the balance, and possibly that's it, that they're not able to draw from the earth because there's too much power been stolen already, and there's trying to be a balance.
Yeah.
Related to this as well, the thing that triggers this point, like I said, is that when Signet arrive, they don't arrive till chapter 28. What is taking them so long? And in Battle Brief, we see the flags on the map, and Signet's not got any flags in it, so they're not even busy. What are they doing? There's no Venin in that area, and Signet's cadets are taking a long time to arrive. What are they planning? I don't trust those Signet cadets. The only other thing we know about the Signet cadets is that one of them has a go at Riddick for talking, and it's quite funny, that bit, but anyway, that's in a later chapter. That's the only thing that we get from a Signet cadet. Chapter 28. It's chapter 12 now. They're supposed to be arriving. What the fuck are they doing? They're not even fighting. It's not even like that. That is in the same chapter. So in chapter 12, we get a mention that Signet's not sent their cadets yet. Also in chapter 12, we get a battle map with no flags in Signet, no red flags, so no Venin attacks. So what are they doing? Are they preparing to take Navarre down from the inside?
Yeah, it's really weird because obviously, if you remember when Kat was in Pasgaya the first time, she was like looking for weak points. So it's something that by nature, they just maybe just thinking about Pasgaya or about the enemy, and start straight away thinking about I don't know, weak points or how can they break on that kind of stuff. So if they know they're going there and maybe it's something temporary, what is the plan? Maybe they want to destroy Basgaya. They want to just know how it's built so they can build something similar as well for them, for the flyers, or
I don't know, but we don't get anything else in the rest of the book.
Because it can't be just because the flyers are slow. We know that, they're slower than dragons, but the difference is maybe hours.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like weeks.
Yeah. And we know that Signet weren't keen to join Navarre in the first place, because there's some problems that Brennan was having at the start of the book. I remember he mentioned he needed to try and get Signeson back to the table, or Mariah was saying something. There was something to do with Signeson. It's like, sounds to me like another Croveland uprising all over again.
Yeah.
But it's a Signy uprising. Something. They're planning something. I know if they're stealing eggs or what they're doing, but something. I'm going to keep an eye on them. It's like Second Wing all over again. And I bet they get put with Second Wing. Because actually, don't we get confirmation? Yeah, they get split between first and second, don't they? Because
they're the one with less people, I think.
Yeah,
because
nobody
the
came.
fourth win was the biggest one.
Yeah. And then they're bitching about how fourth wing is the biggest because they've got all these new flyers. Yeah.
So then we go to a part when Imogen is working with Violet, and then it's Imogen who gives a letter to Violet. She said this from Garrick. So she was like, "Are you sure this is for me? Because it might be for you. It's from Garrick." And she was like, "Yeah, like he's going to write to me."
Everyone thinks
like,
there's something going on apart from Imogen. It's so sad.
Yeah, but the sad thing is that she's right.
I want to punch Garrick.
Not... Yeah, he's just playing. Maybe he just wants to like...
Don't know if he's playing. There might be something else.
By the end, we can see that he is like there for her.
Maybe he's scared. Maybe he doesn't want to admit it.
Yeah, could be that he's thinking that he's too young to get like something serious, and he sees that with her will be something serious.
Yeah, and maybe like there was a lot of talk of Melgren. I think this might be later. Yeah, this is later. Melgren wanting to march Xaden and Violet to the chapel to the temple themselves.
Yeah.
Imagine the legacy rider baby that Imogen and Garrick would have. It'd be insane.
Yeah, just imagine this, because we have Shadow Wielder with Lightning Wielder, and then Distance Wielder with Rock Wielder.
Yeah.
So imagine a baby with those signets.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they'd get the signets, would they? And then the dragons could go and rebond them.
Yeah. But now the letter is from Xaden, because obviously they're tracking everything they are between them. So that's like another way to communicate. And Violet noticed, and the stuff that Xaden is telling her that, yeah, he was in trouble in Samara, and he had to hide for a little bit.
He, quotation, walked the edge of burnout.
Yes.
But this letter's really formal and really weird. The way that it's written, it's like, "It is with deepest regret that I have to delay my return to Sgaeyl." Like, even anybody who opens that, because somebody's going to open it, aren't they? Like, if they find it. Everyone will be like, well, he's definitely hiding something here, because that does not sound like badass Shadow Daddy Xaden Ryerson. That sounds like, "It is with deepest regret." It sounds like Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. Maybe he's just like preparing himself to be Professor Ryerson, so it's just like
Duke.
Putting him to
6th Duke of Tyrrendor, maybe. It sounds more like a Tyrish Duke than, or it sounds like a Duke rather than a Professor. Yeah. Oh, but maybe he knows.
He returns as a professor.
I know, but I think it's a bit early for that.
But yeah, he channeled from the ground again, and I was wondering, like, in what moment the eyes turn into permanent red? Is it and then like how many times you channel from the ground, even if it's just small quantities, or is it depend on like how much quantity you get in one go? So what it takes?
I think it's probably the volume of magic that you steal, but
so if you're just like sipping,
it would take longer. You would still get there eventually, but it would take longer. Whereas if you like take it all in one go at the end, like he does,
like he did,
like mushroom cloud of shadow, which is how I imagine it. Like,
it's Onyx storm.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was not called Onyx mushroom cloud. So.
You won't sell them in the books, I think.
But yeah, I think it's to do with how much you steal, and if you pace yourself, you probably get your regular eyes for a bit longer.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you just like constantly like, okay, I take a little bit, I let it go for a little while, I take a little bit. So can you just carry on the rest of your life like that? Or it will come a moment that you are like so into like, I can't just take it anymore, and then you just boom, grab it. So you're not just like just the tip anymore. You're like going for learning.
I think you would not be able... Oh my goodness, my mum listens to this. I think you would not be able to keep just
tipping.
I don't think you should just keep dipping in for that long before you would want to steal. Okay.
Moving on.
A few moments later.
I'm also just not... I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about... Everyone who turns Venin would not be able to do that for very long. He also says he has a solution for the burnouts. And it's like, think of a chair. Yeah, what's the solution?
Right, the solution is when he's doing it, he just retreat, like go back.
The pull-out method. Oh my god! This is...
A few moments later.
This is the spicy podcast that you didn't know you need.
Well, I mean, we've got the right audience, haven't we? Oh my goodness. The only other thing I wanted to mention was, he was like, is it me or does my pillow smell of you? And we mentioned this last week. And
then she was sweating there with Rihanna.
She woke up sweaty.
Okay, so Violet and Imogen goes to see Jack Barlow, but he is being guarded by Mary and
an emaciated Jack Barlow. That's going to get me out of that.
Yeah, like the mood.
That could be the solution. Think
about Jack.
Barlow.
But they're playing cards where they're just like guarding Jack, and then Heaton has a lot of luck in this part. They even Mary said they can't believe how much luck that they have. And Heaton is the one who says, yes, Sanal is with me.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because Heaton is another character that we see that has a dye hair. So I think at this point it's like magenta flames, I remember.
Oh, yeah, there's flames in the side of their head, yeah.
But it's been a couple of times that maybe it's been like purple. I think some point they were like red. So it's been changing. So I was thinking just for an instant that it could be there's a reference, maybe people that had been maybe, I don't know, half dedicated to a god or something, they're hiding. But then I thought, no, that could be maybe like a kind of like a decoy. So we see that the only one that like always like full dye in always the same color is Imogen.
Oh, Imogen. I thought you were talking about the gods.
No, but characters. So for me, definitely Imogen is hiding something in the hair, and Heaton.
Quinn have like forest green hair.
Yeah, Quinn as
has
well.
A bit of green hair,
yes, but it's not completely, isn't it? It's just like maybe a few of them. So I'm not sure if the hair is just obviously a fashion thing, or is it actually they're hiding something, and Imogen is the one like taking that in advantage to hide her color. Because I still remember the part when Quinn said, I can't still get in your pink color.
Yeah, I can't get the exact color of pink. Yeah.
So I think maybe it's because on the base of that pink color is no black or blonde or anything else. It's maybe silver. Or...
Yeah, I think so. Like Rebecca Yarros has been asked. So there's been an interview, and she's been asked if Imogen is hiding something, And she's like, no, she just dyes her hair because she likes it, like I do. And so she just totally dismisses that as a theory. I don't trust her, though. I don't trust her. Anything.
What's she going to say? Oh, yeah, she's hiding something. She's this.
Actually, her hair's silver.
But you will find out in book 5.
Yeah, she's not going to say it. Heaton. We still do not know why Heaton needs to breathe underwater. What was needed at their very core to manifest the signet of underwater breathing?
Well, the funny part is Iron Flame. Xaden took them to go to like a mission where they go like hurt as well. But we never knew what was the mission where they were like rescuing the was under the water.
Yeah. You know what gets me? Why do the dragons take the riders that don't have useful combat skills into battle? You know Kath? Why doesn't Kath just go and fight the Venin? What is Dane doing apart from like clinging on for dear life? Heaton, what are they doing there?
True.
Imogen, it's fine because we know that later Imogen is an earth wielder, but all those riders with mind signets, like, they're not actually that useful in the air, are they?
Yeah, I mean, dragons are doing it because they want the signet. That's what it makes the difference. But if they see like a signet that's not useful for battle, then why just not like, just maybe kill this one and go for another one?
Because they're useful in other places. But what's Kaori's dragon doing while he's like teaching classes? What's Devera's dragon doing? Are they off fighting?
Those signets are useful for Sgaeyl, for humans, but for dragonkind, maybe not that much. Because, like, for example, Dane, he was helping maybe getting people's memory to see about Venin or whatever. That doesn't help the dragons because they know what's going on outside. It's just people from inside. They're still protecting. So it's weird.
Yeah. But it's the rider that manifests the signet, not the dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I see what you're saying. And most dragons don't die.
And they don't appreciate that much human life.
Yeah.
So, obviously, they're doing for the signet. If a really proud dragon, they say that the rider has a signet that is not that useful
in battle.
Yes. If you have a signet that's just breathing water.
Yeah, but they might appreciate that it's useful in the war effort. It might just be that. Yeah, underwater breathing. What is Heaton doing? Anyway, apart from playing cards.
Yes.
But yeah, I like the link between Heaton and Sgaeyl. And again, another hair colour reference when related to a god. I don't necessarily think that Heaton does have it, because we know that only Loyal and Dune have lifetime dedications anyway. So I think we can probably stop speculating that people are dedicated to other gods. Apart from perhaps Malak, who got jealous of Dune and decided that to dedicate yourself to Malak, he would grant you extra power from the earth and you would become Venin in exchange for your soul. And we talked about that last week, that perhaps there's always, in these god stories, there's always a jealous god, isn't there? There's always one that is not content with the
role they had
play. Yeah. And Malak could be that one in the Empyrean series. And that could be what triggered the Venin, and essentially it's Malak's army on Earth. Right, one more thing. We find out from Heaton or Emery, one of them, that Markham and Nolan are visiting Jack daily. They seem to be letting him die. Mm-hmm. What does that say about Markham and Nolan? They're no longer trying to keep him alive. What are they trying to get from him? Are they good? Markham's an absolute twat.
No, from my point of view, they just like torture him, because if they don't want like keeping him alive, they just kill him.
Yeah.
They can just get a Hilton ally and just stab him with that.
They're trying to get information, aren't they?
Yes. So obviously Jack knows something. That's one of the reasons the Venin try to taken out from the prison, but we still don't know exactly what is the information that makes Jack so valuable. We are speculating that maybe it's not the information, it's Jack himself with his signet or what he is.
I'm surprised that Violet or Xaden didn't kill him, because he knew Jack is a liability for Xaden. He knows that Xaden is a Venin. He could tell Markham any day. They're seeing them every single day. I am so surprised that Xaden kept him alive. Although I know he's needed. He's needed to play a bigger role in the books. But, like, that feels like a loose end that Xaden Ryerson would not leave hanging.
I think maybe Xaden, when was talking with him, maybe he saw intentions that he's not going to tell to anybody because it's his brother now.
Yeah, maybe he
and maybe
can't.
they have bigger roles and the Venin side.
But maybe he can't physically. Maybe you can't betray your family.
So Violet sees Jack and he's basically dying there. And she offered a little bit of power that she holds in a metal thing. And Jack is the one who said, what if I'd rather meet Malik? And then Violet, like, the one who said, oh, you can't meet.
Do you even meet Malik?
Yeah.
You're going to find out in a few days.
For me, it's an interesting question because we say they don't have a soul or the soul get destroyed. So once it's completely destroyed and they die, it's something that goes for Malik.
I do think now that the Venin are related to Malik. So yeah, I think he gets their soul anyway. It also kind of gives me Garden of Eden vibes, where you've effectively sold your soul to the devil for extra knowledge and freedom. And yeah, that's what Eve did, isn't it? By eating the apple. So Violet's first question is whether they can sense each other.
Yes, and she knew that they can, so he was just testing. Can.
She knew part of the answer. I don't think she knew all of the answer.
Well, Xaden told him that he can sense them.
Yeah, but he didn't.
So,
we didn't know that they couldn't sense sages
each
or
other, yeah.
mavens. We knew that they could sense initiates and asams.
But this is the interesting part for me because he said that, yes, when you're an assassin, you can sense between each other. But if I as a sage or a maven, the Great Hall could be like, Philo, these ones, and he won't be able to tell neither Violet. So I was wondering, is it maybe because the sage or the maven, maybe they can hide their appearance and look just like completely human? Because he said, not even you. And obviously, what is the appearance of the Venin that we see? Purple robes or blue robes or whatever, and red eyes and the Venus and the temple and that kind of stuff. But he says, not even you will be able to tell. So doesn't mean they can hide their appearance.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably some magic that can do it. In stories about Fae, there's always like a potential to have a glamour. That's what it's called. So a Fae can create magic which essentially changes their appearance or changes the appearance of a place or something. It's called a glamour. So Jack did say that they're not as adept at hiding themselves when they're initiates. So that does suggest that when they get more powerful, they can hide themselves, which is interesting because it feels like Xaden will become a sage at some point, because he said, I could become the general, or I feel like he's going to go deep and he's going to become a general, and he's going to maybe that's his plan. Maybe his plan is to, because he still believes he's good. Maybe his plan is to become a general and then to basically change it from the inside. But the question is whether he will remain himself when he goes that deep. But I do feel like perhaps there is hope that Xaden could hide himself and live as a Venin. But when you go that far, are you just so desperate for power that you can't stop channeling? Oh, no, it feels like it's probably not reversible and his soul is gone. Unless he does a deal with Malik to keep it somehow.
Yeah, because for me, the first thing that came to my mind was the reference about Melgrain. When Violet said that, I won't be surprised if he
pulls
just
the mask off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So does Koda knows everything about his rider, or is being even able to like deceive his own dragon?
No, I think Coda would be after the power as well. And possibly that's why the other dragons are trying to build an army, and it is against Melgren, and it is against...
And Koda is the one that we know that he had like holes in the wings as well.
Does he?
Yes. When Violet described Koda, he had like scratch in the body and some holes in the wings from battles
There's something, isn't there, about holes in wings?
and wyverns.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Bodhi's dragon at the end.
And that's why he's the brother.
I just want to talk quickly about Brennan and Xaden, because there is a suspicion that Brennan could be a Venin, and that's why Xaden is like, we need to tell Brennan, or do you want me to tell Brennan? And then he tells Brennan anyway. I feel like there's something between Xaden and Brennan where they know each other's Venin, because I tend to think Brennan is a Venin. I feel like he's got control. But although he does say, there's nothing I can do, that there's nothing we can do to control it, I think that's because Naylan was the one that could do it, not. And maybe Sloane will play a role. But yeah, it's not a fully formed thought. I just feel like it was too sus that Xaden wanted to tell Brennan.
Yes. I mean, we have some reference about Brennan being a Venin, and the first one is Fen Ryerson was the one who killed him.
Yeah.
But
Why would he have shot him if he wasn't a Venin?
Yes, but the other thing is this information comes from the scribes. So that's
also,
the part as well that...
And also, Fen Ryerson was going AWOL. Navarre was attacking him. Wouldn't he just attack them back? There were several reasons why he might. Okay, Panchek. Definitely. Something going on with Panchek. The thing is with Panchek, he's obviously not high up. I don't feel like he's not a sage, is he? He's like groveling to Bowen. Maybe he's a sage, but I just don't feel like Panchek is...
There wasn't any physical reference about Panchek when Xaden was there with Berwin. So I was expecting to see him maybe with red eyes or something.
But he seemed shit and unimportant. He wasn't important, was he?
It was more like he was trying to be an assassin, like initiative, like trying to get Berwin as the master. And Berwin was like the one who's saying like, well, you came to me looking for power.
Yeah.
Something like this. But it doesn't look that he's a Venin by that time. It seems like he's still a human.
It's a bit difficult to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Panchek is definitely trading information. And it's just the fact that it said how many of them are trading information for power. And that is a direct reference to Panchek, isn't it? Because we know that he does that. Who else has traded their soul for power? And who else has, just in recent days, weeks, got an awful lot of extra power? I'm not a daddy Atos. I tend to not think that Dane's dad is Venin. I don't think he is. But he has recently acquired a lot of power directly from Melgren himself. There is a chance that he is also one of them that's hiding in plain sight. Markham could be, but Markham is not keeping Jack alive. And there's just something that's making me think Markham isn't a Venin, but he is fiercely still against the fact that everybody knows about it. I don't think Markham's a Venin. I think Melgren is.
We can't tell anything, because if a Jack is right and a Sage or a Maven can hide their appearance, Markham could be perfectly a Sage or a Maven.
Could be.
Yeah.
He's still kicking Jesinia out, possibly because Jesinia has access to all these Venin books, and she will realise he's a Venin.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he needed her as far away from him as possible.
Here, when she's having this conversation with Jack, he was saying like, ask me something useful. Ask me like why only assassins bleed, which means the Sage Maven, they don't bleed. So I was thinking, is it maybe because when you go to that level, maybe you are like kind of like death or something, and you're not even pumping blood or something, or it's just you are so powerful that you never bleed, you can't get hurt?
Skin is like super tough. I don't know.
Mm.
Does it show that initiates still feel, and that's why Xaden's still in love, and will he sink deeper? That's the only thing that I thought about it. I didn't think about the bleeding necessarily. I thought that possibly that just shows Violet's like red. Obviously, Xaden's red flag central, but she still believes he's him, and she still. But that's because he's not doing it for power, like Jack was. Jack went quick, but possibly Xaden will lose that in the next book, and he will go downhill really fast.
Also, something interesting that Jack says here, that power should be something for everyone and not just for the dragons, that he's not the villain, the dragons are the villains. So it's interesting because it's like every single part has a point of view, but is it possible that maybe Jack is telling the truth and maybe the dragons are the bad guys in the end?
Yeah, and that's why some dragons aren't bonding, because they're not getting access to the magic because the other ones are stealing it. Yeah, I totally love this theory that and it also comes back to the Fables of the Baron, where some of the stories demonize dragons. He has a perfectly valid point, doesn't he? That magic at one point was accessible to everyone. It should be accessible to everyone. Then dragons came along and griffins came along and they took it and they said, we will control it from now on. Was that the great and terrible price? Everyone had access to magic. Some people started to use it for bad things, like Venin. Some people started to steal it, like badly. 650 years ago, the great and terrible price was that no one had access to magic, unless a dragon or a griffin found you worthy. And that worked, and that was fine. Until the dragons started getting corrupted by all this power. And then somebody, Daramore, was still alive because he was immortal, started teaching people how to do it. Because we know that Jack says you have to be taught if you are not connected to a dragon. And you've got the first six. The reason they're the first six, they already had magic before, but then the dragons decided, it was decided that the dragons and the griffins would then control it. So there was only 12 people, because it was 6 flyers and 6 riders who had access to magic. And then it started, like, magic went for everybody. And then the Venin had to teach people to channel. That's why it took them so long, because they weren't automatically bonded. Because Jack is saying that it's easy for someone if they already know how to do magic. So I feel like there's something here that the dragons stole the magic and only used humans where they saw fit. The great and terrible price, potentially, again, we'll come back to this, we've said it a few times, could be that nobody has access to magic in the end, and that even the dragons are wiped out by the end of it. And that would be like possibly heartbreaking, but it depends how much Rebecca Yarros manages to demonize the dragons between now and book 5.
Yeah.
It's an awesome connection, and you would never think that the dragons were the bad guys. But the question is, are all dragons bad guys, or is it the Empyrean?
We need to remember that it said, I can't remember which book was, when it said that it was never our land.
Yeah, it was never our land to begin with. They just let us live here.
Yes. So are they talking about the Venin? Maybe it was the first one to be that.
And he stole the magic. The dragon stole the magic from the Venin. Yeah. But they wouldn't have been Venin. Maybe they were like wizards or something.
Yeah. Something that Jack says here as well, they trade a little part of the autonomy for that power. I was thinking if he's talking about he loses the autonomy is against the magic or is against the master, because we know they're over like desperate to get more power. So it's losing the autonomy because they can control themselves about having more power. Or is it because the master...
They can't disobey the master.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I do think it's both. But I think it does seem to confirm what Theophany said about being powerless to disobey a master, and Berwyn specifically. Xaden does still want to be cured, and does still not want to obey Berwyn, and he manages to not always obey Berwyn because he doesn't always come when he's summoned and stuff like that.
In the end, when Berwyn is the one who tries to kill Sgaeyl, he's the one who makes this massive Onyx storm.
Onyx mushroom cloud. Yeah.
So Violet has all the information that she needs from Jack, and she's ready to go. And then Jack is the one saying that, why is it going to stop me not to tell it to the other people that you've been here feeding me? And Imogen is the one who said, well, it's really hard to tell when you don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
So obviously she's going to wipe the memory. But then here, that signet that she's doing against this Venin, it works.
Yeah.
But then why, when Bodhi was trying to do
Doesn't
it
work.
against Stephanie, it doesn't. So
Different type of power. I don't know if, again, we normally try and solve from the story before calling plot hole, but this is such a good question. Why does Imogen's signet work against Jack, but Bodhi's doesn't work against Theophany? Is it to do with the level of Venin? Is it Initiate Asim works, but once you reach Sage or Maven, maybe the reason you reach Sage or Maven is because it's deeper magic, or it's, I don't know. It feels like a plot hole.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody might be able to explain that to us.
Yes, because in the end, yes, it's affecting the brain of the Venin in this case, but still that signet is affecting the Venin, and Jack is a Venin in this case.
Violet's lightning, if she strikes a Venin, it kills them.
Yes.
It's the same thing. Violet's signet works. Why does Bodhi's not work? Is it purely because it's not actually a signet? They're just because his signet is countering signets. But maybe they're just calling it a signet when it's actually something slightly different.
Yeah, because right now I'm thinking they have wyverns because they created, because they couldn't have dragons.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not signet, it's something that they created on base of the signet. Maybe they're using runes as well to create kind of like signets.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
So I think maybe that could be like a hint that
And
it's not a signet.
But so maybe it's not a plot hole. Maybe it is purely Bodhi's signet that doesn't work. And that is another reason why he might become the brother, because he is powerless. He's powerless. But what is he going to channel? How is he going to channel it if he's not countering Ryder's signets? And that's maybe he was always meant to turn Venin because his signet is the balance.
Yeah.
He was the balance when they were fighting on the inside. Is he the balance? Is he on the right side now? Is he a Venin?
Yeah.
On the right side for him, I'm saying.
Wow.
Just thought, you asked the question, how in 600 years did nobody know that it was a signet?
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it because it's not a signet? And that the reason she made Bodhi's signet not work was just obvious on the page confirmation. The Venin don't have signets, they have something else.
Yeah. This is what I'm thinking, because again, wyverns are not dragons. They are creations of the Venin, because they don't have dragons.
The Venin channel into the rune, yeah.
Yes, and they create the wyverns, so maybe it's another kind of rune to create kind of like sickness.
And who gave them runes?
Daddy ate us.
Nailin.
Yeah.
No, Daddy ate us. Yeah, maybe.
They finish with the interrogation, they're leaving, and then Violet found the squad. They are waiting for them. And then Imogen is like, for fuck's sake, you can't do anything by yourselves. And this is the end of the chapter.
Oh my goodness, move on to chapter 13. That has been wild. We have spoken for chapter 12, but there was so much in there. I knew there would be because of Jack. Right, chapter 13, epigraph. Upon failure of 3 exams, Jesinia Neilwart has been removed from the Adept Path and stripped of all its responsibilities and sacred privileges as of January 15th. Under protest, I transfer her command to Professor Grady at his over-authoritative request. Official records, Scribe Quadrant, Colonel Lewis Markham, Commandant. Right, why did Grady want her so much? Over-authoritative request. I know why. Because he's an incompetent ass. And he is also ableist. And he thinks, and this is a really, shows how much I dislike Grady. He thinks that she is not going to be able to keep up and challenge because of her disability.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think that is it. And that's why he makes me so raging. Because she's incredible. Especially when she's taking minutes. She's taking notes. And she has all those people signing. And they're signing over each other because they're all shouting over each other. And she has to look at the paper to write down. And she captures everything. She's amazing. She's like significantly more skilled than any other scribe. And I just love how Grady... I mean, I don't love it, but he seriously underestimates her, I think.
Yeah, well, the thing is that he has no clue about anything. He's just completely useless on all aspects.
Yeah, he's totally incompetent. He doesn't want it to be recorded properly.
Yeah.
That's what I think. But then, possibly not. It could be that he just knows how close she is to Violet and he thinks that she can get more information from Violet, and that's how he's going to get his information. I mean, giving him the benefit of the doubt, that could be it. But I just think he knows he's incompetent and he thinks that she can't record it. And that makes me so angry. Also, just want to say Markham's a twat for doing that.
He's not being lucky because the first one, the Markham, was as like the next to take the role from here was Violet, and she left. And then Jesinia was going to be the second one, and she left for Arisha as well. So I wonder who's going to be next one. We definitely don't know who's going to be that person because so far it's Jesinia, the one who was always like
Samuelson.
second. You think?
Yeah. Or maybe the one that falls asleep all the time.
Because he's always in the archives, sleeping.
What's his name? Nasia.
Nasia. So Imogen leaves the group. The group is thinking to go to the archives. And then when they're going to the archive, they start to have like a little bit of chat about Sawyer being ready, looking smart for Jesinia. Sawyer doesn't take it like very well. He starts to like take him with all the people as well. Like Xaden and Violet always fighting like a old marriage. The Rhiannon and Tairn is always like they're together but they're not. And Riddle is just jumping around like a frog or something like this.
Bed hopping.
Yeah, so they're having like a good time as friends. And they go into the archives. And Violet is trying to defend herself that, well, they're not fighting that much. So it's just like, it's a little bit complicated. But then Sawyer is trying to say something nice to her as well. Like, well, I'm pretty sure that Melgren is really happy with you and Xaden together because this place always running about having the strong girls, riders together for legacy. So I'm pretty sure that he will take you and Xaden to the temple. And Violet, the one who said, well, I doubt it because I'm not being praying to Loyal.
I doubt they'd let me in.
Well,
yeah.
They are not being like praying to Loyal or Hidden for a long time. And we know that he's always with the people. There's no like praying anything.
Yeah,
to him.
Hadian doesn't like praying.
Yeah, so this give it to Violet like knowledge. I was wondering if Loyal is the same, that when people are not looking for her for love, she actually goes for them.
That is usually like when you find it, when you like least want it.
Yes, that's
like me and you.
True. That when you're not prepared, you're not looking, you're just thinking about something else is when you find it.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting as well.
That's nice because that fits with a lot of people's experience of love.
Yeah.
I would say.
And for the people that is right now thinking that, no, love is not for me, maybe this is the time where you will find that soon. Yeah. But, yeah, so I was wondering if Loyal is that kind of girl as well, but she is the one that is asking for attention if you want to like dedicate yourself to her as well.
I agree that she could be half dedicated to Loyal, but there is an epigraph that links her so I feel like clearly to Malik. It doesn't say Malik, but it says the letter from the priestess to Auric with the dagger that's made from the stone of the Temple of Dune. This is at the end of the book. That epigraph says, I only pray that she doesn't use this to meet the other who curries her favour.
Mm-hmm.
Curries her favour. You don't say you're going to meet Loyal, do you? You say we're going to meet Malik. It's always meet Malik, I'll meet Malik. And that specific language in that epigraph about not using it to meet the other who curries her favour. I think that's because she has a path and her path is not yet decided, and that's said a few times. When they go to Umbriel, she says your path is not yet decided, you have options. I think that's because she can turn Venin for Xaden. She can turn for love, and that would be Malik currying her favour because the Venin are Malik's army. And I don't think she's half dedicated to Loyal. I think she cannot be fully dedicated to Dune because Malik stopped it. Something happened, or her dad tried to do something and it went wrong.
For me, the only reason that I'm not thinking about Malik having like this kind of the people that are dedicated to him as well is for that, except from chapter, I think it's chapter 49, when it says that only 2 require a lifetime of dedication, Dune and Loyal. So this, for me, is just telling me that from all the gods they know, just these 2 are the one who ask for full dedication. And also, I think it says that the soul change as well when you dedicate yourself to these gods. So it could be one of the reasons that, for example, we see in there for Dune, the hair changed color because it's like a part of your soul change as well.
Yeah, but it could be that Xaden is somehow dedicated. And maybe you're right.
Because he's like pure love. This character is just pure love for Violet.
But he would know. You've got to be dedicated. You've got to be in the temple.
Violet didn't know that she was dedicated.
Yeah, but Xaden would.
Why?
No, Violet was not dedicated to Dune.
Well, half dedicated.
She was touched by Dune. She's not dedicated, which means she does not need to go to the temple all the time. She doesn't feel the calling. She doesn't feel that. And that's what Theophany said. You don't feel the draw. She would know if Xaden was off at the temple all the time. I just think that epigraph about Malik is so... Maybe it's all... But she would say the other who caught... I think she needs to go and talk to that priestess in the next book. Or she's just talking to Oric. She won't. No, she won't.
Well, after all the time they take to get the research from her own dad. Yeah,
she might find out in book 5. Let's not hold our breath.
When they're talking about the research, Ridog is the one who says as well do you think the Irids is short for iridescent? And everyone is like, yeah,
obviously,
like, of course.
Which means it's definitely not. We've talked about that though, haven't we?
Yes, but something that I found really curious about Irids or iridescent as well, because iridescent is just something that changes color depending on the point of view, like a bubble. But it's coming as well from the Greek gods of the rainbow. It's called Iris, and Iris, it was a messenger between gods. So it was the messenger from the gods to the people, and it was always going to Earth from Mount Olympus in a rainbow. So I find it curious because Andarna is kind of like a messenger from the 7 Dead Dragons to tell them how humanity is doing it. So that was like that's why she was left behind.
Is it more literal than that? Is Andarna the 7th Den the messengers from gods, and the gods are trying to determine if humanity is ready?
So far, it seems the 7 Dead Dragons are like they're full magic. They're not feeling like any connection with Earth, or you don't see them struggling even when they are so far away on the continent.
But is that because they have the power of the gods? If you think about that like Greek mythology, that they actually they're the link between the heaven and they channel from the sky because they channel directly from the gods. They travel to Earth in a rainbow. They can change their colour like a rainbow. Iris is it links to all the eyes, doesn't it? The colours of the eyes, and perhaps the colours of the eyes are something else. Oh well, no, something related to it, but possibly that in the channeling from the sky is such a link, isn't it? Channeling from the gods. Perhaps the Irids are the ones that are linked to the gods, and possibly that's why Tairn says dragons pay no heed to your puny gods because they're pissed off that all the Irids went, and they've been brought up to be like, the gods are nothing, they just leave you stranded because the Irids left. And Tairn doesn't know why he pays no heed to the puny gods, because he's been raised to pay no heed to the puny gods, because the Irids have always not been there in his time in his life.
Yeah.
I love this. This is so cool. I think there's definitely something in that. All authors draw from kind of mythology,
inspiration and that kind of stuff. So I see it from that point of view. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe when you have that point of view, that gives you ideas how this character can go.
Yeah.
So from the moment where I knew that she was like a messenger, and then the Irids as well, I was like, oh, maybe there's something here.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to talk a bit about how, like, the relationship between Jesinia and Sawyer. I think it's really nice to see this bit. She's kind of a badass, being kicked off the Adept program as well, and that's definitely a punishment for her choosing erasure, and it's deliberate because specifically Violet makes reference to the fact that they've narrowed her scope of knowledge, they've restricted her access. That's the reason Markham's done it. It's not because of punishment, it's because she now has like unfettered access to books. He didn't see it coming that Queen Mariah would give access to all of her books instead, but she does seem to have access to the King's Vault because of the deal that Violet did with the Scenarium. But I would say, yeah, they've cut her off from a lot of stuff, but I wouldn't want any of that shit anyway. I don't want any of Markham's books. They're not worth the paper they're written on. Got nothing in them.
So they're talking about everything that Jesinia has been doing about this research. She started to notice that in all the books they had there and in the archives, there's a lot of information that is not there. And the only information that she's getting some values from the books from Queen Mariah. She's happy as well that Queen Mariah sent the books because they had a lot of information as well at there. But she found a journal from a General Cadau, I think it's called. And she said that there's some pages missing as well. And there's some information. There's everything I pointed out to the second Cropland Uprising. Here's when we start to see that, yeah, we need to get some more information as well.
Yeah,
that information is somewhere else.
Yeah. Daddy Sorrengail. Research. Was it Daddy Sorrengail that ripped the pages out? Is that obvious? Did he somehow get into the vault?
I don't see how he can do it because we're assuming that this journal will be in King's Towery.
Yeah, but he could be he could be trusted at that point. He could have been brought into the knowledge. He was allowed in the vault. His connection with Lilith, his connection to Markham. He was very close to Markham. He was on the Adept path, I presume. I don't think it ever says that, but why wouldn't he have been allowed in there?
Yeah. I was just wondering if when you start to see that maybe they were so desperate for dragons and they want like the dragon eggs or something, maybe when they start to see that connection between feather tails and dragon eggs.
Yes, so they need his research. And
finally.
Yeah. And they need Dane to do it. And Violet says he left Navarre, not his father, and trust me, there's a difference. And that's just a link back to her mom, isn't it?
Yeah. So 3 days pass and now they're in Batterbrief.
Yes. Can we talk about the map?
Sure.
Signison, we've talked about this already, but Signison is not targeted. They've not sent their cadets. It's majorly sus. So let's keep an eye on Signison. But I predict that something is going to happen in the 4th book where Signy's going to steal some eggs.
Yeah, maybe we're going to have kind of like a civil war in Basgaeth, flyers against Dragon Riders.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a Signy uprising.
Yeah.
Where they're going to want to be their own province, and that's what happened. So Crovler was like on the Navarre side, but not in the board in the wards, wasn't it? And they wanted their own dragons, and then it got absorbed by the kingdom of Poromil. So Crovler was never originally Poromish, I don't think. That's how it's described, I think, in the history class in one of the previous books. So Signy could be the other could want to attack because they want dragons. I don't know. I haven't fully formatted that. But anyway, they arrive in chapter 28, which is quite a way off.
Yeah. In this battle brief, we have information about how things going to run out from now on. And then when we got the first official release, the Maive and Sage, they can actually wield, and this has been confirmed by 3 different sources. And I was wondering, why are there 3 sources? Because we know Violet was the first one. I don't know if they're counting Garrick as well as a second one, and then who will be the third one for get that confirmation that Venin can wield. And are we talking about Theophany as well doing something, or is somebody else?
I think it's all Theophany. But I don't know whether maybe they all came at the same time, or whether it's an account from General Sgaeyl that nobody believed. Or something from the past. I don't know. I do think they relate to Theophany, but I don't know the answer.
Yeah, for me it's just like something suspicious because...
It just has 3 different sources. It doesn't say 3 different Venin. So I feel like it's
They're
3
talking about
sources.
maybe Theophany, but again, Theophany was just in that time with Garrick and Violet, so who is the third one?
Maybe the source is Jack telling them that they can from the interrogation. Maybe they just asked him and he was like, yeah, they're more powerful than you think.
All right.
Maybe it's a source. He didn't necessarily have to see it. It's just a
Just
source.
know.
Like you could have it from a book, couldn't you? Like it could be one of Drake's books that he suspected it or something. It could be a source of information.
Between these new rules, there's a massive change, and it's that between classmates is not allowed anymore. And obviously, you see there is less and less riders every single year, so you can't allow they start to like killing each other. So that is now not allowed. And they had a new class when they're going to start having like sparring sessions, and so they can train with the signet. And for this, they're going to bring a new professor. And this is the entrance of Professor Ryerson.
Yeah. Signet sparring. I would find it really, really hard to pay attention in that class.
Of course.
Professor Xaden was just be really difficult. It'd be so distracting.
Yeah, you will be like, any extra classes, Professor?
Yeah, I need remedial lessons.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Violet wasn't that happy about it because she immediately remembered the Article 8, Section 1 of Sgaeyl Code of Conduct. And then she says...
sleeping with... No shagging the professors.
Yeah. Not very fair, isn't it?
No, I mean, they're all 21, but yeah, it's a bit unprofessional, isn't it? It's like I guess, abuse of power. It might be to avoid that, isn't it? Where you also, like, want to get good grades. So, although I don't think they get graded, do they? They just win the... Yeah,
they just graduate. They don't die.
They might win... Yeah, but they might, like, win a war games because they get an advantage and it's frowned upon. It's even frowned upon, like, sleeping with your line of...
Line of command.
Command, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the word. Anyway, chapter 14.
Okay, epigraph.
Though flyers only wield lesser magics, in my vast experience with the Northern Wing, they are formidable opponents in both mind work and hand-to-hand. Take heed, younger riders. Do not unseat against them unless forced to do so. Tactics Part 2, a personal memoir by Lieutenant Lyron Panchak, or Lieutenant Lyron Panchak.
Yeah.
Lyron Panchak.
He sounds so nice here, just saying like younger riders, like he's like, I don't know, that grandpa or that person giving like wisdom.
Yeah.
And until you see the Panchak talking, it's like,
Couple of things. Why do griffins only channel lesser magic? Why do they not develop a signet? Is that the kind of clue that Venin need to be more powerful because it's something to extra counteract the dragons? Do you see what I mean? Because the griffins don't counteract the dragons in terms of power. So hand to hand is good unless the magic is good, but they're gifts. They're not like lightning wielding or shadow wielding or anything.
Yeah. But I mean, none of them actually have like magic. I mean, they're like the key for the swords, dragons and griffins. But Venin, they are the one who actually are like the one who have the magic.
They channel it. So I think they're the equivalent. They're not the equivalent of humans. They're equivalent of dragons or griffins.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are physically channeling. They're the channeling. They're the siphon.
Yeah.
Basically.
And they're using it because a dragon or a griffin, they don't use like laser magic or... Well, they had their mind like talking between their own species and that kind of stuff.
They use it to fly faster and stuff, don't they? That's what Tairn says.
Mm-hmm.
They're magical creatures, but what can they do with it? They can't actually do anything with it. They can just...
Yeah, it's just like their storage, the magic, but it's just
siphons.
given.
I also, like, from his experience, I just bloody hope he got a right smack in the face from a flyer. Panchek we're talking about. From my vast experience, like, how many times has he been smacked in the face? I'd really like to see that. Mm-hmm. Also, like, why would the Northern Wing give him the experience? It's as I thought. Right, so the Northern Wing, you would think that would include all the coastal outposts across the Emerald Sea, mm-hmm. or like border the Emerald Sea. Then Montserrat, which is obviously the northern Esben Mountains. I think the Eastern Wing is then like Shakir and Samara, and then the Southern Wing is Tyrrendor, just Somerton, mm-hmm. etc. Anyway, Northern Wing borders Signisen province. Oh. So, unfortunately, the Signy flyers are really, really good at hand-to-hand. And they're now they've been dillying around for a while, having a bit of a holiday, and they've come to Navarre now. Mm-hmm. Is that another clue that we've got to watch out for Signies?
Yeah. I mean, they're experts against Venin, so I don't know if they're still considering Bascaia and Navarre as enemies.
Yeah.
So Violet is trying to avoid Professor Ryerson because now she knows that is just not allowed.
I don't know if she's trying to avoid him or it's whether she's like so focused on finding Dane at this point that she's like, I'll deal with that later because I can't. If I think about it, I'll get upset. She's just like, go and sort the Dane thing out.
Yeah, I guess it's just like roller coaster of emotion for Violet because first she sees Xaden, so she's happy, like he's fine, he's back, he found a way to stay here, and then he's a professor, and shit, I can't be with him because now it's my professor. So it's like, yeah, she have it close, but at the same time, like she feels far away. Then she sees Dane as well, and like, okay, so maybe I'm gonna focus now on that, and she goes straight for Dane. And then it's just having a little chat with Bodhi. And she goes to talk to him and said that I need a favor and I need you to get something from my dad. And he straight away he said the research. And for me it's like, how he knows? Because
he was working on it with them.
And what? In the research?
Yeah.
No, this is the first time when we actually go for the research.
No, because he was training them. Violet knew about it. He was training them and he said he was trying to teach them. He was trying to teach them about the Feathertails.
But at this point, I was thinking more like he could be like a letter, something familiar, something, there's just for Violet from her dad. But he straight away he jumps to the research. And then she said like, yes.
Because she says, your dad hinted that he wanted it.
That was after.
Oh, was it after it?
Because he said, well, just tell to my dad and I'm sure he will give it.
They were best friends. They definitely knew about the research. And he was so close. And there's also a moment where Brennan says, somebody says, how did he turn out so decent, half decent. And Brennan was like, because he had our dad as well. They were so close. He would have known, just like Violet, that he was working on extra research in his own time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's how Dane's dad knows a bit more. But actually, I think that's because he was a very close friend, and at some point, Violet's mom and dad decided they couldn't trust him, so they couldn't tell him anymore.
I know that in this book we trust more Dane. He's been there like is one of the gun again. But for me, just like he saying the word like research, when it could be anything, could be a letter for her, could be a picture, could be anything, but it's like work. Yeah. So for me, like, okay, then I trust you, but I still keep an eye on you.
Oh, Dane. Okay.
Yeah, Dane. She said that no, that she can't. Well, Dane is the one who tell her, ask to my dad. He's outside talking with Panchek. So now when we see that, yeah, those two are still talking, they're still with communication.
Well, they have to. Panchek works for him.
Yeah, but they're still there. And I don't know if I maybe it's in this point where Panchek is maybe telling him to Aethor, yeah, Ryerson, I think he's going to ask me for an exception for this Article 8. And then Aethor will be like, just leave it to me.
Yeah. But is Panchek avoiding Xaden? They sense each other. That's the question.
Again, I'm not sure we got confirmation that he was actually a Venin at the end.
We don't. I would think he's a bit shit. Like I don't think he'd even know how to do it.
He was working with a Venin, definitely, but he wasn't a Venin. He wanted, I think. Violet said that no, he can't ask to his dad to get the research because he was asking for that research before. So she said, I need you just to get it for me. So we're like, oh, so you want me to steal it? And she was like, yep. Yeah.
My question is, did Lilith know all along that it was there? And was she just bluffing when Panchek and Aethor, it was them two again. Panchek and Aethor were walking down the steps from the flight field with her. And they said, oh, you bonded it. Isn't it a coincidence how you bonded a feathertail and your dad was researching them? Where is the research? And I actually think it was Lilith that said.
No, I think it was definitely Aethor, the one who was asking to her, and Lilith was just paying attention.
Yeah. So I think Lilith must have known all along where it was, but she wasn't telling Aethor, and she didn't trust him. She didn't trust him or Panchek. So she was just playing a part. I'm going to read that bit again and see, now knowing what Lilith knows, because we learned so much about Lilith in Onyx Storm. We didn't have her in the book, but we learned that she didn't trust anyone, that she was like part of this. She was pissed off with Daddy Sgaeyl for the dedication stuff, so I might reread some of her bits again.
Well, Violet's having a chat here with Dan. Xaden arrives, and he wants to take Violet along, but here when I said that she's trying to avoid him because he's the professor, and I think it's Bodhi the one who asked you to have broke up.
You two breaking up?
And Violet, yep. And say that, no.
Seems a bit excited from Bodhi.
You think?
Yeah. Not that he thinks he's got a chance, but he's like, finally something's going wrong for Mr. Perfect over there.
Xaden managed to have a time with Violet alone. And he's the one who told her that, yes, he was channeling from the ground. He didn't even realize it was Sgaeyl the one who shouted at him that when he was doing it. That was the first time that Sgaeyl was talking to him. So obviously something that for Xaden is just doing just maybe for nature, or just not even paying attention. He's just doing it by instinct.
Garrick didn't come with him. That's just another thing to mention. Garrick stayed in Samara because Operation Babysitter didn't really work anyway. He couldn't do anything about it. And Violet's already here. But my main question is I know this feels random because I've planted it in for no reason, but why is Garrick and Xaden at Samara? Why are they not stationed in Erasia? Because that's his army. Why are they still like operating under the control of?
The Grincy will be.
Yeah, doesn't feel right, does it? The Duke of Tyrrendor is not in Tyrrendor.
I don't know if after Theophany there's still like some war over there with the Venin, so maybe they need like powerful
Extra
riders.
reinforcements.
Yeah,
probably. And then I just thought, this is like totally not a theory or anything, but Kaori's office, he's got loads of books in there, which obviously all about dragons. But he's got a picture on the wall which has the six first dragons, and not 7.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. We don't ever get confirmation that's like who they are, who the descendants are, what the like.
The names of the dragons, maybe.
Names of the dragons, nothing.
I mean, we know like from Tairn where he's so proud talking about the line.
But is he?
Maybe that was one of the first 6 dragons,
maybe.
one of the first black one.
Yeah, maybe. And we only know that there's one of each colour, don't we?
Yeah. Here is in this moment when General Atos arrives, he's looking for Xaden because he said I want to just save time, and straight away telling that he's denying the request. Xaden said that he's an asshole.
He's a baby, isn't he?
Yeah.
Such a baby.
Yeah.
Baby Atos.
Just obviously trying to find a way to just annoy him because he can't do anything else.
He's like giving Dane in Fourth Wing vibes, isn't he?
Well,
and Dane in Iron Flame vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how we've gone from like properly hating Dane to properly hating his dad?
Yeah.
And actually quite liking Dane and thinking, oh, yeah, that's why.
It's the Atos.
There's got to be an Atos to hate. So maybe in book 4 or 5 it'll be Mummy Atos. Oh. And I was saying, like, I wonder where she is. Why did she leave? But I am telling you, I would be as far away from that arsehole. Not Dane. Daddy Atos. I don't think we know his first name. I'd be as far away from him as I could be. I know that I would have taken my son with me. I wouldn't have left him with them. But imagine being married to him.
Is she still alive? Do we have any reference about she left or
no? We don't know. We don't know anything about her. But I wouldn't blame her for leaving. I would blame her for leaving Dane with him, but I wouldn't blame her for leaving.
Yeah. So basically, Xaden and Violet, they decide they're just going to keep it in secret until they are in this situation. And General Atos is the one who's saying that I'm not going to forgive or not going to forget that just a couple of weeks ago, Xaden was the one who came to Sgaeyl, destroying everything, killing everyone that was on his way, and killing Varish as well.
His BFF, his best friend.
Exactly. But it's Violet the one who tell her it wasn't Xaden, it was me. And then it's like,
and she could have been like, actually, it was your son.
Yeah, but Dane was waiting for her outside, and then Daddy Atos just leaves, and then it's like he was listening, and then he was like, "Whoa, it wasn't you the one who killed him; it was me."
He said you did the final blow,
but it was me the one who killed him.
Yeah,
but it didn't kill him because killing him means that he is dead. Yeah. He hurt him. But
but I think intention matters here. I think that Dane wants the credit for that because he rebelled, he killed him. It wasn't just wounding him, it wasn't just like maiming him. He intended to kill him. The fact that we'll never get confirmation of, or we might get confirmation of this, we haven't got confirmation of it, and I think it's a mystery, and I think that Rebecca Yarros might keep it open. But the fact that Varish didn't die when Dane stabbed him with a sword, you don't necessarily die when you get stabbed, but it depends where you get stabbed. But the fact then that they used an alloy hilted dagger when he like stood up with a sword in his stomach, makes me think he's a Venin. And I know that everyone's like, oh, the world isn't split into Death Eaters and good people and Death Eaters, but I do think there's a few things, like I think Solus and Tairn and realizing that he wasn't powerful would... I think he's unhinged enough to just channel when he can. He was also on the Eastern Front, so I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I still have the feeling that he's still alive somehow.
Yeah, or soulless, at least.
Yeah, but for me, obviously, we had that feeling that he was a Venin. And the thing is, if he was a Venin, he was stuck with Dagger Hilton, like you said, but he was in possessions of that Dagger Hilton all the time. There was reference with Violet, where she was in the chair, that she can see the daggers,
Yeah.
and he have it. I can't just believe that he didn't maybe drain that if he was a Venin, because he must feel the power, because Jack was feeling the power when she was feeding him, basically. And maybe those daggers were just regular daggers with no magic.
Yeah, maybe. I just made me realise that we never really got confirmation what the other runes were on the daggers, did we?
The one that she lost in the cave.
Yeah, well, all of them. Also, so Dane says his father is beyond help, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Venin related?
I don't know if it's just because he knows his dad so well that when he has something in mind, he never changed the opinion. He just, it's how he is.
Yeah.
So we get to Monday, and now Violet has a meeting with the squad.
The quest squad is what Riddick calls it, isn't it? It's not what it's actually called.
So they're having this meeting, and Violet can tell straight away they have no clue what they're doing. They're just trying to improvise. And it's just a mess with everything that's going on there.
Grady's stressed, isn't he? He's not had a shave. He's not made an effort. He's just stressed. He's got imposter syndrome. He knows he's not the right person. Like, he was a decent teacher. He's a decent teacher. Just don't think he's got it in him to do the strategy. Why did they pick him?
Yeah, well, I guess because they had to go to a mission where they had to go to outside the walls, and he is the professor to like survive outside enemy. So he should be like the more prepared to survive outside the walls. But I think the problem is that they put him to look for something that he doesn't know exactly what it is or where to find it.
And he picked Aura. Right, I've got stuff to say about this.
They're having their conversation there, and then Xaden's arrive, and they start to looking at him like what he's doing here because he's not invited. But then Xaden is the one who said, "Why, I've forgotten that Tairn and Sgaeyl can be separated. So yeah, you're welcome. I invite myself
and he's
here."
like, all right then. And Jesinia just adds them to the list.
They're like having a discussion here, and even there's a time when Violet is telling it, like, what she thinks, and she said that they need to go to the Isle Kingdoms. And they were like, what, to the Isle Kingdoms? No, that is just crazy because they are like dragon killers. We can't go there. We need to go to the north, the opposite direction. And she was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. But at least we know that Mira's going.
Yes.
And Grady refuses to accept that the Tirish army is under Xaden's command.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like him directly going against the second erasure accord.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like Aura Bindhaven. Like, no wonder. It surprised me. I thought Grady would have gone with them to erasure. Everything we knew about Grady last year, I just feel like he was good. Mm-hmm. But he's prejudiced against the Flyers. He's not invited one of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's also not accepting. So if Xaden says, you could have just asked me, you didn't need to wait for a response from General Tynery, because Mira is under my command. Well, Ulysses and Suri and Ulysses. We didn't learn anything about Suri in this book, did we?
No.
But it did turn out he was always going to take Mira, so obviously her reputation is very strong, even for incompetent Grady.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact that he asked the leader of the southern wing from Navarre and not the Eurasians, that makes me feel like he's not great.
In the end, they decided going to the northward coastline.
Yeah, do you think we'll ever go there? Do you think we'll ever go north?
We need to go a lot of places on the continent. We're still not going to the Barrens. Like,
not been to the Barrens, not been to the Vale, which is very close to home.
Yeah.
We've not been to the loyal.
Uh,
We've not been to the Bay of Malak.
Mhm.
Yeah, sailors don't return from the deepest waters. I get the feeling that we won't go in the North Sea, but I just wonder why. Because it's rough, and it might be that they just don't return because it's rough and they haven't got great boats and there's nowhere to fly. Like, there's nowhere to land, so the dragons can't fly for that long. But is there something? Is there some kind of magic or tempest?
Maybe animals in the sea. You have dragons. Maybe you have
Kraken.
something. Yeah. The meeting is over. They start to leave, and Xaden asks to Violet to stay a little bit longer so they can have a few minutes together.
Not so fast.
Yeah, so Aura is there waiting for them, and she already told them that, yeah, General Atos tell us that made your life really basically impossible. We are really happy with that. So, yeah, you don't have any time together.
Yeah. Why the fuck is Aura there? I have a suspicion that there's something going on with Grady and Aura, and I get creep vibes from him.
Well, they're not going to last together anyway.
I know.
So.
I know, yeah. But I just get creep vibes. She says I'm the chaperone, so he thinks that she needs another cadet to keep her company. Are there seriously no more powerful fire wielders in the Navarian army than Aura fucking Binehaven?
I mean, you have Carl. He's a rider. He's a professor. Where is he right now?
He'd be even more annoying. I don't know. Aura Binehaven. Ugh.
I mean, Carl was annoying just because he was maybe usually teaching Violet, but when he was with Varish, he was the one who like telling to Varish that you're going too far. So at least he's not like bad person.
Yeah. But there's got to be more powerful fight. The only reason she's there is because Grady's sleeping with her in the background, and it's gross. Get creep vibes. He's abusing his position of power, and she's
Violet and the Articulate.
Yeah, she's sleeping with him because she wants to be on this special squad, and she wants she's just awful. But anyway, yeah, like you say, they're both...
She probably want to put in the CV and be in the quest squad. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, they're gonna... I like we keep saying, spoiler alert, they're gonna die, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll all cry, and it'll all be terrible.
Yeah.
No.
We all say, oh no. Anyway.
Yeah, I went... I can't remember. I think we'll have to find my reaction, because I know that it was recorded, and I was like, meh. Right, Jesinia is amazing. We said this at the start of the chapter review. That's like amazing. I find it really hard to take minutes in meetings because either you like talk, well, I talk a lot, but listening to everyone, you get different ideas and you're thinking of stuff when people say, like, it's really hard just to write minutes. And all these people signing at the same time, although it would be like, at least they're not shouting, at least you can, but how can she keep track of it? It's amazing. Like, she's just such an incredible scribe. And it's no wonder that she ultimately becomes the curator of the scribes, and we know that from the
beginning of the book.
the epigraph of epigraphs, the intro to the book. I think that's the end of the chapter, isn't it?
Yes.
Anything else to say?
No, I think in this chapter, obviously, we start to see the group. They're going to find the Irids is taking shape.
Oh, but
and it's not working very well right now.
12 people he's got.
Mm-hmm.
And he's picked, I think it's probably 13 when Xaden joins.
It's picking like one of each, basically, because it had like a fire wielder, air wielder, an agrarian. What else? Probably it has
Lightning shadows. Infantry. Liaison. I don't know. It's 12 people, but it's... Oh, and the shield. So Mira when she comes. But no, there's 12... on the table when Violet's at the beginning, so that would mean there's 14 in the squad. But yeah, just he's picked a load of shit, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He said every one of these people I trust, but one of them, I think the infantry liaison clearly doesn't trust him because she just keeps back chatting him. But just incompetent. I don't think he's a bad person, although I do think he's a creep. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's just out of his depth. So imposter syndrome. We've all been there at some point in our career where you're like, how did I get here? What am I doing? But yeah, it's just ugh. I think they should have put Mira in charge of the mission. Although she's a narration, they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have done it. But if it was like, I think if Lilith was still alive, Mira would be leading that mission.
Yeah. Well, we know that this group is not going to work very well. It's not going to last. And then from that, it's Violet, the one who's going to take the control.
Yeah.
And then we start
So
to
we don't
see
need
the
to
real
be
one.
annoyed for too long.
True. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So, Oryx Auguries. So this is the part where we, based on our favourite prince's signet, we recap our favourite either moment of foreshadowing that you believe is foreshadowing for a future book, or favourite theory that we've talked about today. Do you have one?
Yes, my favorite for this episode is the Sage and Maven. They can change their appearance and they can look completely human or
the
normal.
glamour.
Yes.
Yeah. I do like that one. My favourite theory from today was magic was accessible to everyone. Venin were some kind of former wizards and the dragons became the gatekeepers incorrectly or not. I also like, actually, can I change my mind?
What? You change your mind? Never seen here in Faithfully Fantasy.
I'm going to change my mind. The theory that or the link between the gods that you came up with, Iris or Iris, and that the seventh den are actually the messengers of the gods. I like that one.
Okay.
I like both.
Okay.
So sticking with the theme of precognition, the epigraph for chapter 15 next week. Some combat signets are fearsome, but any rider can be brought low by two things: lack of a shield or a group effort. Never give the enemy the advantage of surrounding you. Griffins of Poromil, a study in combat by Major Garion Savoy.
Okay.
Okay, we'll talk about it next week. Shall we enter the interrogation chamber for the second time this week? Because we've been in there with Jack.
Yes. So let's go into the interrogation chamber.
Yeah, last week we asked which part of the Empyrean world would you visit if you were a distance wielder? Where'd you go?
I really want to go to the Barrens. I want to know what's going on there. How do you know?
Send me a postcard from there.
Yeah. It's a desert. It's maybe...
It's barren.
Yes, that's how it's called. But it's like...
Why is it called Fables of the Barren? That's why, because that's like where all the bad things came from.
So I just want to go there to see what's going on. I don't want to go there because I think it's beautiful. Or there's a resort there, maybe Venin Resort.
Yeah, why would they drain the land that they live in? Why wouldn't they just move? Maybe it's a paradise.
Yeah, maybe they just drain like the edge, and then everyone from outside say, "No, there's a barren. There's no point to go there." But then you cross and it's like a tropical paradise. And we had the Venin there.
Yeah. And only the people with
purple pants, in the swimming pool.
And like
drinking
a dragon rubber ring.
Yeah, dragon with the wings, just like really slowly giving some air.
No, like one of those inflatable donuts. A cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, maybe you've convinced me.
What about you? Barrens with me?
Yeah, sounds good. So probably the Veil. I feel like there's a lot of secrets in there that the dragons are hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you wouldn't necessarily see them, but if I was able to get in without being roasted and not being spotted, I think I'd do a bit of snooping around. Yeah. Possibly bond a feather tail.
Take the power from the feather tail.
No, I wouldn't take it. I would look after it. But
I wonder if Agari had done it just for curious, because he can go there and 1 second he just can go out.
I wonder how he manifested his signet.
Yeah, imagine he was in the toilet
Was
and
that
then
an accident? Could have been. Could be like really, really desperate for the toilet, and he like one step and he was there, and he was like, "Oh,
yeah.
I don't know."
Yeah, that would be funny to
Yeah.
find out.
Okay, so next week we are gonna, this week in the interrogation chamber. Who is your quest squad? Who makes your quest squad? I'm gonna set a different rule. So Grady has 12. Like maybe let's say 10 incompetence. We only get 6 because we're going to pick competent people. You can't just pick Iron Squad. You got to like use some
Other
brains.
people.
Yeah. Let's throw this out to our listeners as well.
Okay.
Add comments to wherever you're listening to this podcast, or send us a message on Instagram, or we will put it on a story in the question box and see the response that we get. On that note, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. We now offer exclusive content through subscriptions on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Supercast, which is the best one, via our website www.faithfullyfantasy.com. There's so many options. There's definitely something for everyone. The key benefit is that you will get early access, so you will get episodes on a Tuesday instead of a Thursday for Fire Wielders, and then as you kind of step through the levels, you get access to additional things like our chaotic show notes, and behind the scenes footage, and additional bonus episodes are for everyone, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So Fire Wielders, Shadow Wielders, and Lightning Wielders get the additional bonus content. There are kind of welcome videos and free gifts for Lightning Wielders. I'm going to just signpost people to the website, which will give you a really clear idea of what you get for each level. Just a little reminder, I'm not sure if you are all aware, if you have read Quicksilver will be our follow-up book. So the next series that we deep dive, that'll be starting in July. We already have a great group chat on Instagram. If you would like to join that, please send me a DM or send us a DM and we'll make sure you're added. Think news, memes, chats, theories, all things Quicksilver. So let us know if you want to get involved.
And with this, we had just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things Onyx Storm.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we'll see you next week with more theories, more deep dives, and of course, with more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye.